Speaking of being controlled,
Who's controlled? I'm not controlled.
I'm telling you, all these stories I'm coming across, it's just like it's the same story but written in a different font.
Yeah. Different era, different people, but literally the same thing.
Same thing. Okay, have you ever heard of the Council of 300?
No, I have not.
Okay, it's a fringe conspiracy theory, but there is some validity to it.
I had a dream we were in France last night.
Oh,
did you say French or fringe?
Fringe.
Okay. Oh.
Oui, oui.
Oh! It was a French conspiracy. I'm like,
No.
that's interesting.
Fringe.
Well, that's why I said yuck. Never mind.
So the Council of 300 is basically what we would call the Illuminati.
Okay.
And it connects directly to the cult of the Black Cube, or the cult of
the Black Cube.
I corrected myself.
I know.
Punk.
It's just I wanted to hear it in
The Sultan of the Black Cube.
The Sultan of the Black Cube. But yeah, so it was originally written by Dr. John Coleman in the book called Conspirators' Hierarchy,
Ooh.
The Story of the Committee of 300. And he claims that there's a shadow elite ruling the world behind the scenes. And I think we all kind of
agree with that
in a sense.
Sounds about right.
But there's multiple names for them. So it's the Council of 300, also the Hidden Hand, or the Olympians, some people call them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So basically, it's 300 top-tier individuals that would be royalty, banking, dynasties, and corporate heads, including the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Windsors, and high-level Vatican officials.
That sounds like our typical...
Not official. And this is why people are like, well, this isn't real because there's no record of it. Of course there's no record of it.
That's why they did it.
Not officially listed or public, allegedly secret, and generational, which generational thing makes sense to me, of just passing down this whole dynasty kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like how the royal family, you had to marry into certain parts of the family.
Yeah.
Like incest was like, yeah, you got to do that. You got to marry your cousin. You got to keep it all in the blood.
What else? I mean, what other options do they have?
Yeah, but so it says the 300 sit at a top of a pyramid-like power structure. Below them, global think tanks like Club of Rome, the CFR, Bilderberg, and corporations and governments. And the ultimate goal of the Committee of 300 is the creation of the one world government.
Yeah.
And that I went down just big old rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Rabbit path. Rabbit trail.
Bunch of them work.
Rabbit gym.
Rabbit tree. I went up the rabbit tree.
Yeah.
And I was just like looking into like the UN and the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is freaking me out.
They're all tied back?
Yeah. So one thing the Dr. John Coleman writes about is that the Council of 300, they use this thing called the, I don't know how to pronounce this, Hegelian dialect? No. How would you pronounce this? That, farts on a stick, dude. There's a lot of notes. Hold on. The H word.
Hegelian
Yeah.
dialect.
It's often reinterpreted as the problem, reaction, solution mechanism. So it's a mechanism used by the elites. So it's a 3-step process.
Cool.
1, problem, a manufactured crisis, terrorist attack, pandemic, economic collapse. 2, reaction, the public's emotional response. So the public's like, you got to do something to save us. And then 3 is solution. So the elites pre-planned solution that wouldn't have been accepted otherwise. An example, surveillance laws, war, lockdowns. And so there was this thing that came out in June 2019.
Okay.
Remember the world in 2019?
What a beautiful time.
Okay. The UN proposed this thing called the Agenda 2030. And it was heavily sponsored and heavily influenced by the World Economic Forum, which is not government. It's its own private sector.
Yeah.
But this Agenda 2030, it was agreed upon by every nation in the world. But it was, so in June 2019, the United Nations and World Economic Forum signed a memorandum of understanding to, quote, accelerate the implementation of Agenda 2030. And these are the key pillars of the agreement. 1, climate change. 2, health. 3, digital cooperation. 4, gender equality and empowerment of women. Hey,
that's me.
5, education and skills for the future. And 6, financing the 2030 agenda. And so basically, the World Economic Forum, they push that in order to implement this new Agenda 2030 is like climate change, but a big part of it is surveillance. They said that they need to not depend on governments, but on corporations to fund this thing. So dipping into the private sector, overseeing government, a worldwide government agenda.
Yeah.
Red flag, I would say.
Yeah.
For sure.
Seems like a rule that should be not broken.
So under Agenda 2030, many goals like renewable energy, smart cities, and digital ID were implemented. And that they can only be achieved with private sector funding. And this one freaked me out. The World Economic Forum, they're it says the biggest advocates for global digital identity infrastructure. So the known traveler digital identity. So basically, everyone will have a biometric ID attached to them now.
Wow.
So wherever you travel in the world, biometrically, you can be identified. So now everyone in the world can be tracked wherever.
Yeah. No matter what.
This is all in the hopes of like making the world a better place. And part of the Agenda 2030 that World Economic Forum were involved in is it's called the Great Reset.
Right, which we've heard of.
Yeah. So after COVID-19, World Economic Forum launched the Great Reset Initiative. And it was branded as a chance to rebuild more sustainable and equitable world. Equitable. The pillars of the Great Reset lined up almost one for one the UN's agenda or whatever. Build back better, inclusive capitalism, green energy, and digital transformation. And their catchphrase for this whole Great Reset was, "You will own nothing and be happy."
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So wait, I remember there was a book written about this, and they wanted to extinguish a bunch of people. They said that we needed like 500,000 people to exist on Earth or something. But this officially is happening?
It's been implemented.
Wow.
And that's why people are talking about that like in the US and in Canada, all these natural disasters are being taken over by the government, like this land.
Mm-hmm.
So like in Canada, all these places where there's these wildfires,
Right.
it's like, well, this isn't a safe place for anyone to live. So now the government owns it, and now you have to move into this city that we're going to make into a smart city.
Carolinas as well.
Yeah, Carolinas.
And all these insane natural disasters in tandem with the fact that we're now doing cloud seeding.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it's all connected, and it's really freaky. But like just the involvement of like corporate media too in the UN and World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
It's like
It's manipulation to its finest.
You know
dude.
what's creepy too, though, is they've like recently like accepted the conversation around cloud seeding. Like DeSantis came out and said that thing. So it's like now they've accepted it. But think about how sketchy it is that it's now illegal to use the technology that in case of a dramatic wildfire could put out the fire.
Yeah.
So like we might have just got all up in arms to shut down the thing that could stop what they're doing.
Yeah.
If they're using fires to push people to smart cities.
Ninjas are butterflies. Did I say ninja? I meant butterfly. The butterfly is no doubt one of God's most beautiful creations.
Does it empty your mind?
You were, Marshal!